Good afternoon. My name is Marcia Stromgren, and you've tuned in to Just the Facts. I have in the studio as my guest today Donna Krivogorsky, who is running for District 7A House seat. Thank you, Donna, for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
I'd like you to tell the viewers a little bit about your background, and then we're going to talk about why is it that you're running for District 7A House.
I am the Duluth resident. I came to United States in 1992 from back then Soviet Union, the Republic of Ukraine. Currently it's an independent country. And I've been working all my life, and I moved to Duluth about 10 years ago, specifically to raise the family because I went to school in Madison, Wisconsin. And I loved Midwest. I love the people, I love the environment, so it was a conscious choice to pick Duluth as my forever home, so to speak.
And what are you currently doing? Are you working as well as being a mother?
Mm-hmm. When my second child was born, my daughter was born, it was a conscious decision to stay home because I didn't do it with my son. So I had to stop my studying, but I went back to UMD to finish my master's in chemistry. I'm a scientist by trade. Actually, I did molecular biology, but I decided to get a degree in chemistry to get a deeper understanding. And so I'm taking classes and I'm teaching, so as well as being mother of two and running for the office.
So you have a full plate. Okay.
I do.
Also, I know when I've talked to you before, we talked a little bit about education because that's one of my great interests as been involved in the school district. You ran for the school district
yes.
last year, I believe
yes.
it was. And so we talked a little bit about education at that time. How well equipped are the students coming into the chemistry department to qualify as a knowledgeable student so that they can do a good job in comparison to, say, foreign students that are coming in there?
Well, this is actually kind of one of the disappointing things. There are some students that are pretty good across the board, but unfortunately, as generalizing things, the kids from, let's say, former Soviet Union, Russia, or the kids from China or from India, they're much well prepared. And it's not because the kids are not smart or not capable. Absolutely not. You get absolutely brilliant kids. I got some amazing students in my classroom. Unfortunately, the public education system is not preparing them. So I think that was kind of why I ran for the school board, is because I really would like to have the kids, our kids, because I consider myself an American. This is my home, this is my country, this is my, our kids, to have as much preparedness and as much opportunity as anybody else who comes from elsewhere and has a better background. And that's why I run, because I believe the public education system can be improved, and I think we can give the kids a better beginning, not to learn the basics in college where they had to pay money for, but actually in school where it's free and actually more appropriate.
Well, we know that the state government, along with the federal, gives dollars for education. And when I interviewed Art Johnston on the last time he was here, it's about $15,000 per student per year. So it seems to me, from what I observed, monitoring the district for so many years, is throwing money at the problem. It's not fixing it. So we're going to assume that you become elected to the office and you look at what committees that you would like to get on. Which one do you think that you would focus towards?
I am definitely going to be on the education committee. I will try to be, because I think throwing, as you said, you're absolutely correct, throwing money at the problem is not the solution. And let's look at our district, which has money and had about 10 years ago, 30 million in savings or so. And now we're in a big fat minus. So I think throwing money is not, it's how the money are spent. I think the districts and education needs a little bit more control, more overseen. It cannot be if you get superintendent or the school board who are not responsible, who are basically throwing the money, and as we know right now, the vote is going to be on the referendum to increase the taxes for the school district. So I find it absolutely irresponsible by elected government officials to first waste money, let's call it what it is, and then go to the public and ask them for more. I think public in general, people do not mind give money to any elected government official if they spend it responsible, if it benefits kids. I know I myself wouldn't mind to give money to the district but I don't believe it will be spent responsibly. I think this district, the superintendent and the elected board will just waste it. So having said that, I definitely would like to be on the education committee. I would like to have some reforms of how so the money given directly benefit the kids, not the unions, not the administrations, but teachers. Let me add, not the kid. Well, the better teachers of the better kids are, they teach better kids. But it will benefit students.
Well, according to the latest information, the teachers do get their increases every year, and they're some of the highest paid in the state, not the highest, but some of the highest paid. So I guess giving the district money, but making the ones who are in charge of overseeing the district is the best solution, is to force them to be responsible. I think that's the answer to that. But like I say, if you could get on committees, is there another committee that you would like to get on? What is one of your other focuses?
Oh, I definitely would like to see how on their healthcare reform, because I believe, it's my strong belief that the healthcare and the way that the state spends money currently is, it can be redone to give people a relief off of it. I think the taxes is a big issue because, once again, the elected officials, whatever it's mayor or government or county, they spend money and then turn back to the public to see, oh, we don't have any more. I understand the inflation, I understand everything. But before any elected government official can come and ask for the money, they should show that they did their job, that there's absolutely no other way that they could cut, and the going to the public is absolutely last resort. We have a lot of families in Duluth that unexpected, people who are retired on a fixed income. If any small unexpected increase, any unexpected bill can literally do them in. So I think the healthcare is another focus, would be my focus point, because guess what? We're all gonna get old, God permitted, and we're all gonna get sick at some point of our lives. So I think that needs to be an absolute priority. And also, for my election, I think infrastructure, how the money is spent, throughout state of Minnesota on the infrastructure support for the police departments, support for the fire department, for the roads. It shouldn't be 0.5% afterthought increase. Oh, by the way, we spent all the other money, like on a paddling center that they built in West Duluth, but we don't have money for the road. They gotta be priorities. So education, healthcare, I would love to be involved and actually propose an affordable solution for the people of Minnesota.
Do you have some suggestions at this time?
Actually, I do have a couple. We have the benefits of once again, I would like to emphasize that I'm an immigrant myself. I worked since I was 16 years old. I turned 16 on January 7th. On January 9th, I started to work. And other than staying home with my daughter, which I did continue to work part-time, I pretty much worked all my life. I have not received, as immigrant coming to this country, we didn't receive any assistance. We worked our way through. So I do know what hard work is. I do know what it is to have $25 for food for the week, and how to manage it. So having said that, or emphasizing that, we have a lot of benefits distributed. For example, a big settlement in city of St. Cloud that receive benefits without limits, or requirement to go find the work. We have some programs that I believe, as good as they might be, can take a second seat, a second kind of like, it's not the priority to the healthcare of Minnesotans, to the healthcare of people who are hardworking, and just pretty much reorganize priorities when we settle down and reshuffle in the budget. So once again, people who work their life and made state of Minnesota what it is today, because I'm really appreciative, you have to remember, I moved here. Even though I worked in US, in Minnesota I moved only 10 years ago, so I'm very appreciative what those people before me did to the state, and I love it. So I would like to, I think they are the priority. I think Minnesotans are priority. That is the absolute, it should take priority, and I repeated this word 3 times, that's how strongly I feel about it, to other programs. We just need to put Minnesotans first. And Minnesotans who worked hard, who want to be Minnesotans, not just, how they say in my country, clip coupons, like to their, and clip benefits, actually, it's called.
Well, that's another issue for another day, but St. Louis County is famous for letting people come in and get on the welfare rolls.
Which is wonderful.
Which is burgeoning with, okay, I'll go back to a little bit of my education, which was finished in 1965 formally, and then I've gotten the hard school of Knox ever since. We were taught about a pie in math. The pie is only so big. Mm-hmm. You can divide it up into these little triangles, and you can put so much money here and so much money there and so much money there. Okay, as that pie increases in the number of pie wedges you take out of there, that means that this fund over here has got to decrease, because we have an 8-inch pie, we don't have a 10-inch or a 12-inch or a 14-inch pie. The pie doesn't keep growing this way. It stays the same, and you keep dividing those little wedges up smaller and smaller because more and more people keep asking for instance, bike trails. And now I hear that the Lake Walk was damaged for the 3rd time, so they're going to take more money out of the tax that comes in for tourism to repair that for the 3rd time. There was a reason there wasn't a lake walk there for many years. There was a railroad track along there, and there were rocks, and people, if they wanted to walk along the lakeshore, they walked over the rocks. They didn't have a pathway to bike and to rollerblade, etc. So there is a cost to everything we keep adding as far as this pie goes, and it can only be so big. So I think that's where a lot of our problem is, where this money, they have to keep asking for more money. I'm actually seeing street lights in the country popping up on corners that I've driven for how many years I've lived out in the country. It never had a street light on that corner, but now they're popping up with street lights. Those cost money, the electricity costs money. Who's paying for this? The taxpayers. So we keep adding more things that people want, but are they needs? That's the issue with any government that takes any tax dollar from anybody. Is this an absolute need that we have to provide for people?
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you, and that's what I was talking about, the priorities. And once again, I do not want to say that there are people who don't need assistance and really truly help, because that is what this country is all about, helping each other, right? I've been helped when I came to this country by sheer strangers, which embedded in my memory as one of the most wonderful displays of human kindness. But when I'm saying there's a lot of people who abuse the system, like you remember the story from Star Tribune in Minneapolis where the millionaire filed for assistance and actually got $350 something assistance just to make the point that the system is broken, that there is no control over it. Then he got criticized for asking it to begin with, but what he did, he was trying to prove the point that even the multimillionaire can ask for taxpayers, like for the assistance, and gets it. There is no control over it. So I'm not saying that the people, they shouldn't get when they are, because that's what society is built on. We are built on helping each other, right, in this country. But what I'm saying is there got to be a more controlled distribution of funds. And I completely agree with you that there is needs, the first and foremost, before bike trails, before anything else. And if you ask anybody in Duluth, would they like to have bike trails or would they like to have an affordable health care? I think the latter will get overwhelmed majority. Would you like to have a lake walk or would you like to have your streets fixed? Once again, I think the latter will get a majority. And it shouldn't be afterthought, oh, let's get you the 5.5%. Right now, Mayor proposed 4%, 3.96% of the property tax increase. And once again, for the fixed income people, it will be a huge hit to their budget. Once again, we were a family of one paycheck, my husband's. It can do some serious damage if you live paycheck to paycheck. She wants to propose affordable house, and this is how ironic this tax is. So she proposes 3.96 property tax increase to fund an affordable housing. But those people who rent, where do you think landlords gonna put these taxes? Into their rent increase. So it's kind of like this really ironic thing that she's proposing for the affordable housing, and it has to stop. Once again, I'm not against affordable housing. I'm just saying, before you come to me as a taxpayer with a tax, you have to show me that everything else you did well, you did responsibly, and there is no way for you to get money elsewhere. And I will be happy because in general, we're good people. We like to help each other, right?
Well, I have a friend in affordable housing situation. And yes, when the increases go up on the people that own the property, because these affordable housing units are subsidized by HUD or Section 8 housing, which is you and I, the taxpayer, we are getting double taxed on that. So, yeah, there needs to be more responsible actions by the part of every elected official. Instead of just answering the wants of people, they have to look at the ramifications. Now, let's talk about taxes. I know originally you said you are focusing on taxes in your campaign. Are you doing what you're saying, what you've been talking to us about here, or have some other ideas on taxes?
Well, first of all, I would like to mention on the TV, on this taping, is that the numbers that they pass around are not particularly clear. For example, in their proposition, they said the medium home in Duluth is $150,000, and the increase will be about $20. Now, when I did my calculations, first of all, there's anybody who can have access to the internet can see that the median house in Duluth is $208,000. That's for starters. So that's kind of misinformation. Second of all, it's not going to be $20. It's actually going to be quite more, once again, depending on the area of Duluth where you have to calculate per,
evaluations of property.
Yes, evaluations of properties, plus it's not on the full property tax, but it's on a small portion. But once again, this misrepresentation where people are going to vote for $20, but it's not going to be. And I actually had a couple of discussions with my DFL friends, and I said, just pull out calculator, just do it. And the revelation, like, you are right, it's not going to be $20, it's going to be much more. But if we look at the history, if we look at the past 12 years, if you go back for past 12 years, for the property taxes of the city of Duluth, they are doubled. They are doubled. So a person who paid $800 12 years ago now pays $1,600. And how did the increase happen? Once again, I did my research. You can double check those numbers. They are available on the internet if you have access to that. The increase occurred, this doubling of taxes occurred precisely by $20 here, $30 there. School board without referendum said no, but they increased it anyway quietly. So $40 here, $70 there. Here we have the doubling, which is huge for the people, once again, on a fixed income. So the very people who vowed during the election to protect and stand up for the interests of people of lower socioeconomic level, those very people push tax increase on them. For me, it's absurd and very dishonest, to say the least. Hypocritical, I believe the word would be.
I'd like another word is called deception. They are very deceiving in, like you say, they're saying $150,000 when actually it's $206,000, and most people don't even know. I know when I ran for school board, I was getting my vehicle fixed on the western section of the city because they're the only ones that could fix that particular vehicle. And I talked to him about taxes. Oh, he says, I have my accountant do all that work. He says, I never bother with any of it. I just pay the bill. And I thought, I am a business owner now. I wasn't at the time, I didn't own a physical business. And that would be the last thing I would do, is just expect my accountant to do my taxes and then say, well, by the way, here's what you have to pay. I would want to know, why do I have to pay that? But
absolutely.
There are a lot of people in that situation where they don't deal with the figures and facts and stuff, and they just have somebody else prepared for them. And then they look at the bottom line and they say, well, I want my home, so I'm going to pay the tax.
So I'll tell you that.
Ignorance is not bliss in this situation when it comes to the taxes.
I completely agree with you. I'll tell you straight number. If you own a house, $150,000 house in the city of Duluth, you absolutely, if the 3-tier school board will approve, you will pay $307 more a year. $307.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money for the person who owns $150,000 home, which you actually nowadays, as the market went up, you have to look hard for in the city of Duluth. But that is the number of increase. And I'm running because I want my main message. I want people of Minnesota, my district, on the whole state, bring home more of their hard-earned money, and the one that they do pay in taxes be well spent. I want them to have somewhat financial security. Because once again, we are not 100% in this world with the market, we are protected. But I want them to have some sense of security.
Any person that's elected to any office, they don't represent 7A or, in my case, Soil and Water District 2. They speak on behalf of all people in that area. And in the state of Minnesota, when you get elected to, say, 7A, then you go downstate and you're dealing with representatives from the entire state of Minnesota, and you're making a decision that will have ramifications on every single tax-paying citizen in the state of Minnesota. So you may be elected out of this area, but you represent the entire state when you become an elected official.
Well, I think people in the southern part of Minnesota have the same desires to have spent their money properly as the people in the north, in my district. And that is one of the reasons there I can honestly say I did not take money or endorsement from any organization. My campaign funded solely by the personal donations. There is not a single union, organization, or anything that I took the money from, because that's what I want. I want to represent people of Minnesota, and that's the only people that I owe to. And also, I can work on both sides of the aisle. I am okay with people. So the partisan narrative that has been, unfortunately, my opponent was talking about and blaming the Republicans for all the things that she was not able to achieve, I find it's a little bit a cop-out. You know, responsibility should be, yes, I didn't do things because I didn't do things. And I'm not going to go about to blame somebody else. That means I didn't work hard enough. That means I didn't compromise. I didn't talk to them. I didn't try to dialogue properly. Because let's face it, all people are people, and people in the southern Minnesota do not want to pay too much for their kids' education. They want to have a health care. They don't want their taxes increase and spiral out of control. I'm pretty sure they have the same desires as the people up north.
I have no doubt in that, since I've got connections throughout the whole entire state of Minnesota with the position I've been in this last several years. I sit down at the table and I talk to farmers and people from all walks of life that are in the Soil and Water Organization, and we basically all have like you said, we all have the same desires, and especially property owners, they want to be able to even pass down those farms to their families if their family wants them, or you want to sell your home at a decent price without this horrible tax burden. You want to stay in your home until you're no longer able to use that home any longer. So yeah, people are no different in the southern part of western or eastern part of the state of Minnesota than they are in the northern part. So we all need to work together to achieve the goal that allows that to happen. And certainly Minnesota is one of the highest tax states in the nation.
And in particular.
And okay, you say it. And so we don't need to see any more tax increases until we see some performance well done.
Absolutely.
And so you said that Duluth is one of the highest in the state. Is that correct?
Yes, we are paying 13 point, if you go out to eat, you pay 13.6% taxes. So we are only 0.5% in general sales taxes below California.
Oh my. Oh, that is.
That we are pretty high. We are pretty up there.
Yeah, and business taxes, we won't get into that, but
those are scary.
Yes, and I understand that. I get to go pay it today. Yeah. So folks, you have an opportunity to vote on November 6th. It's actually your right and responsibility, and it is a privilege. You live in America where you need to make a decision. You need to get informed as to who to vote for. You need to know what district you live in. You need to get out and vote on November 6th. And I really thank Donna for coming in today and letting us know how she would represent the people. So appreciate it coming in, and thank you so much
for having me. Thank you. Pleasure is all mine. Thank you.